CATIA V5. This will be regarding morph shaping. So the tool will be available over here within the modeling toolbar in Shape Sculptor. So let's get started. This will be positioned on the same slot with grid modeling and interactive grid modeling. So keep that in mind. Now, when we activate this, the mesh morphing, we're going to see that we can select the mesh to deform. Keep in mind that you can also use a point cloud, a mesh, or an imported STL, for example. For the case study over here, I have a tessellated mesh, which is this one. If I will swap this to wireframe, we're going to see that this will not be a surface, this will be a mesh, since this is defined by triangles. And we can also define over here the target element, so where exactly we want the mesh to be deformed. If, for example, I will add this point over here, which will be 0.4, we can also specify some limit elements, but in this case, I will not choose any. And we're going to have the constraint attenuation over here. So this is by default set to low. If I will click apply with the low value, we're going to see how the green surface will be deformed over here, and the new mesh will be entitled Mesh Morphing. So in this case 1, since this is the first one within the product. We can also add multiple points over here. For example, I want the mesh to go all the way over here to 0.2 and also to 0.4. If I will click again on apply, we're going to see that this will look odd with a constraint attenuation set to low, as the surface will no longer be constrained on the bottom. But if I will swap this, for example, to strong, we're going to see how that will look. We are still going to have the mesh offsetted from the original area over here. The same will be for the very strong. And if I will go to medium, we're going to see how the mesh will look like this. If I will remove one of the points, so only add 0.4, we're going to see how the mesh will look on medium, on strong. So we still have that, that same offset over here. And we can also change the target to be, for example, a curve over here. So I will select that. I will have the point removed in this case. And if I will keep very strong and I will click apply, we're going to see how that mesh will now be deformed to go all the way to that, that 3D curve that we have positioned over here. Now, keep in mind that we can also make use of specific limits. And if you're going to add a 3D curve over here, only the inner area of that mesh will be morphed. So, for example, if I will go over here on paint curve, and I will add a paint curve over here, I will hold down Control to close that loop. If I will enable the mesh morphing to deform the same tessellation 1, the target element will be, for example, this point, and the limit element will be the mesh curve over here. If I will set this to medium, we're gonna see that the mesh deform will look like this. So let me change that to low. Again, some of the deformations over here are quite weird in my opinion. And we see how just by changing that constraint attenuation, we have various changes. So we see over here, we have the mesh deformed over there. And with very strong, we're just gonna have a point like this. We can also add insert target, and we're gonna see that the point will be also integrated within that mesh deform. And if I will click on insert limit, we are also gonna see that that limit added over there. So this is with, and this is without, with and without. Okay, some other elements regarding mesh morph. Keep in mind that you can also morph two meshes. So for example, I will bring in over here the monkey head from Blender, which will look like this. I will have this mesh, let's say, a little bit repositioned. So I'll go over here on the compass, select it. I will slightly move it down. And now I have the possibility to morph the monkey head to the green tessellation surface over here. So we're gonna see that the mesh to deform will be the blender monkey head, and the target will be the tessellation element. If I will click apply, we're gonna see how that mesh will be deformed over here. So this is currently set to low. If I will change this to very strong, we're gonna see how that mesh will look now. We see that for this case study, one of the monkey ear will pass through that area. So let me see with insert limit. If I will also add a limit over here, like the 3D curve. In this case, we're gonna see that the 3D curve does not lie entirely inside the limit, so I can't use that directly. But again, if I will select the monkey head, the target mesh, without any limit and set it to strong, we're gonna see how that will deformed. To better visualize the monkey head, I will also hide the initial tessellation, which is this one. And we're gonna see how that, let's say that mesh morphing between the monkey head and the tessellation area will look like. Okay, so I hope that you find this content useful. I will position a similar video over here on the left side. I will also add this to CATIA V5 tips and tricks to the top. And I will also add a subscribe button over here. So that's it. Thanks for watching.